watching this live edition of NFL Daily, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. We got a loaded show on tap today. We're going to be talking the latest news and rumors on Brandon Aiyuk, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield. We'll also break down some potential trade destinations for Justin Fields as well. And we will do a Q&A mailbag before the end of the show as well. Use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of the show. As you guys file in, shout out your favorite team, and we'll shout you out as we get on the air and ready to roll here on this fine Thursday afternoon. Let us know who your team is, and we'll show you some love here on today's show. Big Tex is here with me today, and I got to tell you, Big Tex, it feels so strange because this is the first Thursday where we're leading into the weekend without football. Very sad.
Very sad. Sad times indeed.
Yeah. So, nonetheless, it should be a very entertaining offseason with plenty of potential trades, free agent signings, draft stuff going on. We will cover it all here on the channel over the next several months. I got Ty Man, the Buckeye, the Cleveland Brown fan, checking in. Good to see you, Ty Man, a Chat Sports OG. Todd Samuel says, trade Aiyuk to the Commanders. We're actually going to talk about that, ironically enough, in just a few moments. So stay tuned for that, Todd. Shamari is a Patriots fan. Got EV shouting out the Pittsburgh Steelers. I got WS Kansas City, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, that is. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid getting it done for a third time. I got AJ Money, a Broncos fan. Kenny, a Broncos fan. Not a good day to be a Broncos fan as of late. Last few years anyway. Logan shouting out the Ravens. We're going to talk about the Ravens coming up later. Stay tuned for that. Gerard, the Dallas Cowboys fan. Good to see you, Gerard. Shout out your team and let us know who you root for. Now, looking ahead to next season, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be the defending Super Bowl champions for the second straight year, trying to become the first team in NFL history to ever win 3 in a row. Will it be them or somebody else? Who will win the Super Bowl in the 2024 NFL season? The Niners are the favorites, according to the folks out west. But then you got the 2-time defending champs, and there'll be plenty of other teams also in contention as well. Who will win it all next year? Checking it in the chat right now. Kenny says every day is a great day to be a Broncos fan. Glad you can tell yourself that. Kenny says the Broncos will win it next year. Mark says the Cowboys. Let's see. Eve says, my stepsister is a Panthers fan. Will you make a Panthers channel? Ask our bosses. Ask our bosses. Who knows? Richard is a Chiefs fan, is saying the Chiefs will win it. Todd says Washington Commanders going all the way, baby. Don't know about that one, Todd, but we'll see as they bring in a new head coach and Dan Quinn and everything. Big Tex, we saw somebody say Cowboys. I know you're a Cowboys fan there.
Unfortunately, that's my reality.
Now that the year is over and we look ahead to next year, are you ready to beat the horn? It's the Cowboys year again?
Nope, because I know what's going to happen, especially if we play the Packers. Because it's funny, me and you, we had a conversation before the NFL playoffs kicked off, at least for the Cowboys.
Right.
And you said it. They said the Cowboys are a better team on paper, but I am not certain they can beat the Packers. And we talked about that, and you thought they were a favorite. You did.
I think going into this next season, if we're talking about teams on paper, Cowboys might be the third best team in the entire league next year.
I agree.
That's why I had them in our power rankings earlier in the week. But are they actually going to put it all together and do it? That's why they don't play the games on paper.
Exactly.
Who will win the Super Bowl next year? Richard says the Chiefs. Evie says I'm going to upset Green Bay. Logan says the Ravens. Ravens got a lot of work to do this offseason for sure. Kevin says the Ravens. Brian says the Eagles. Desmond says the 49ers. Mark says, I'm sorry, it's the Chiefs until proven otherwise. We're going to talk plenty about Justin Fields today. He is a big topic of conversation on today's show as we'll break down the potential destinations for Fields in 2024. Where will he play next season? Will it be the Chicago Bears or will it be somewhere else? I got 5 teams in particular that I have my eyes on of where he could end up. I'm not going to say where just yet because I want to leave that for later on in the show. But I want to hear from you guys. Where do you think Fields plays next season? EV says Steelers. Jay Money says the Broncos. Mark says the Bears or the Giants. Big Tex, what say you? What are you feeling about Justin Fields next year?
I think maybe the Falcons. I
Okay.
know for a while, PD from Falcons Today was talking about him potentially getting traded there. I could see either the Falcons or maybe, I know it sounds crazy, but I've heard some rumblings about the Giants. I know they just paid Daniel Jones a fuck ton of money, and I don't know how that would work with trade compensation, but
Right.
dude, DJ sucks. No offense to Giants fans, of course.
Todd says Justin Fields is going to the Steelers or the Falcons. Izzy says the Eagles. I don't know about that. Logan says Pittsburgh. Raider Rob says the Raiders. Cameron says the Bears. Brian says best location is Atlanta. Not sure it will happen. Brian, Atlanta's interesting because Fields is from the state of Georgia, started his college career there with the Bulldogs before he transferred to Ohio State. So very interesting seeing what the chat has to say there. All right, coming up on today's show, news and rumors, Brandon Aiyuk, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, and more. We'll also do a Q&A mailbag. You can be on the mailbag, get some screen time, and be on today's show when you use the hashtag NFL or Super Chat. And we'll talk Justin Fields' destinations coming up later on. So stay tuned for that. We're currently at 20 likes right now. I need 10 more to start today's show. 10 more, and I'll chug what I have in my my big Kansas Jayhawk cup here. It might be water, but we can act like it's beer. I can give it a little chug when we get to 30 likes. We're eight likes away from that mark. Todd just liked the video. Thank you, Todd, for that. 8 more, 4 more, and then we can get started here on our first segment here on this live edition of NFL Daily. Coming at you here on this Thursday afternoon. Thanks for finishing off your week, starting your weekend with us. Friday Junior, that's what the kids call it, right, Big Tex? Friday Junior here on NFL Daily. So with that, we're at 30 likes. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with this live edition of NFL Daily News and Rumors coming up first. Loaded show ahead here on this edition of NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Could Brandon Aiyuk be making his way from the San Francisco 49ers to the Washington Commanders? We'll discuss that. Also, we have a contract update on Geno Smith and his situation with the Seattle Seahawks, where things stand there. And will Baker Mayfield make his return to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2024? Got an update on that front as well. We'll dive into all of those topics and more coming up on this edition of NFL Daily. Before we do, folks, one season is complete in the National Football League. We turn our attention to another. Everybody is back to 0-0 once again. If you want your team to win the Super Bowl in 2024, like the video, don't jinx it. Give your team all the luck, all the hope they need to capture the Super Bowl this upcoming season. Like the video, and we'll get started with today's show. Could there be another Brandon in Washington? You know what I mean? San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk has been leaked to the Washington Commanders in a new trade rumor since the Super Bowl. Now, before we kind of show you what this rumor is and kind of give you the backstory here, since the loss to the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday, the speculation has ramped up quite a bit from Brandon Aiyuk's camp about his future with the San Francisco 49ers, and not necessarily giving a resounding endorsement or making it clear he wants to be back in San Francisco. And with his contract situation, where everything's at there, it seems more likely by the day that Brandon Aiyuk could have played his last game with the San Francisco 49ers. So what about Washington? Let's check in with Yard Barker, what they had to say about this possibility. With Commanders general manager Adam Peters coming from the 49ers, the natural connection will be him looking at players from his former team, whether it's via trade or free agency. Peters was with San Francisco from 2017 to 2023 as their vice president of player personnel and assistant general manager. Among the moves San Francisco made while Peters was in the building included trading up for Aiyuk in 2020. A duo of Aiyuk and Terry McLaurin would be one of the best in football. It also sets up whoever is the Commanders' starting quarterback next season for success, whether it's Sam Howell, a veteran quarterback, or one they could take with the number 2 overall pick. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, like, oh, really? Are we going to see another player's talent wasted with that lousy franchise that is the Washington Commanders? And here's where I stop for a second and remind you all, this is not Dan Snyder's Washington Commanders organization anymore. What we've seen from Harris and those involved with that Washington Commanders group, it's been very impressive of how they've handled things so far. And this is a team that's looking to make a splash. And whoever your quarterback is, if I give you 2 Pro Bowl caliber receivers with Scary Terry there and Brandon Aiyuk, all of a sudden you're looking at an offense that can start to compete within that division. Brandon Aiyuk is really just starting to enter the prime of his career. Second team All-Pro selection in 2023, coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons with the San Francisco 49ers here. He's really starting to come into his own. Could be an excellent fit for the Washington Commanders offense potentially there. So what would a trade look like involving Brandon Aiyuk? Here is an idea I got for you here. What if the Commanders gave up 2 second-round picks? You throw in Jahan Dotson as well to bring in Brandon Aiyuk. To me, that could be very tempting if you are the Washington Commanders to make that trade happen. What do you guys think? Should the Commies trade for Brandon Aiyuk? Weigh in. Tell me what you think. T for trade, P for pass. Tell me on our pinned comment today if they should make this trade or not. Weigh in. Let us know what you think. Today's show is sponsored by LinkedIn Jobs. I got to tell you, I really like LinkedIn Jobs, and you'll like LinkedIn Jobs too. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free, just like Chat Sports did with me. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is easy when you have quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn also knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats that might not have the time or resources to hire. Thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is intuitive, quick, and easy. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL Daily. That's linkedin.com/NFL Daily to post your job for free. Terms and conditions to apply. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Geno Smith is staying in Seattle with the Seattle Seahawks for now. According to a new report from ESPN's Adam Schefter this afternoon, the Seahawks have decided to retain Smith for the time being. Let us explain. Schefter tweeting the following: Seahawks QB Geno Smith, who has $12.7 million in his contract that becomes fully guaranteed on Friday, was informed today that he will remain on the roster through this week, allowing that money to trigger, sources tell ESPN. The $12.7 million now converts from injury guaranteed to fully guaranteed, assuring that Smith will collect the money. More from Shefty. The Seahawks believed that in today's market, with salary soaring for starting quarterbacks, the right decision was to pay the money per sources. Now Geno Smith will represent a value to them or any other team that decides to reach out to see if they can acquire Smith via trade. But Seattle has now locked in Smith, and Smith has locked in his $12.7 million. So, a lot of word salad there, but kind of reading between the lines of what Shefty's saying is, yeah, they paid him his money, and he's in Seattle for now, this week, but he still could be traded. They didn't cut him and let him go for nothing, but it sounds like Seattle is open to potentially making a move and getting something out of Geno Smith and going another direction here. Here's what you need to know on Geno Smith. His salary for this season, not a whole lot, actually. $12.7 million, now fully guaranteed. He did miss out on all his performance-based roster bonuses, but he is due another roster bonus of close to $10 million on March 18th. So I would expect if the Seahawks are going to trade him, that's kind of their window, is between now and March 18th for a deal to get done. His cap charge for the upcoming season is going to be just a little over $31.2 million for this year. So with that said, he is there for now, and you may be asking yourself, why are the Seahawks hanging on to Geno Smith, at least for the time being? Number one, he isn't that expensive. $12.7 million is not a ton of money for a quarterback that is coming off 2 straight Pro Bowl appearances. Is Geno an elite quarterback? Not by any stretch of the imagination, but he's good enough, if you will. Also, if you keep Geno around, you can still add a young quarterback to sit behind Geno Smith, learn and develop and see how the NFL world works and the Seahawks offensive scheme. They're bringing in a new scheme with new offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb this upcoming season. And the Seahawks, I know they bring in a new head coach and it's a new regime and all, but this Seahawks team has bigger problems than Geno Smith. They have bigger areas they need to address rather than trying to find a quarterback right now. Do the Seahawks need a long-term quarterback? Absolutely they do. But Geno Smith can kind of ride the ship, steady the ship at least for now. And not to mention, he's well respected. A great veteran leader in the locker room, Geno Smith is. And that would be the reasons why, at least for now, he is the Seahawks quarterback. So, what about a trade, though? Should the Seahawks trade Geno Smith? Weigh in. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Why for yes, in for no, if Seattle should make a trade and move on from Geno Smith or not. Shake and bake. Could the Tampa Bay Buccaneers be shaking and baking with Baker Mayfield for many years to come? Well, according to a new report from NFL Media's Ian Rappaport, Mike Garafolo, and Tom Pelissero, a few big J journos there, they are expecting that Baker Mayfield will re-sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and prior to NFL free agency, not even letting him go to the open market. Listen to this. There's mutual interest in Mayfield returning to Tampa Bay for a second season, but there's a strong chance it'll be a lot more expensive this time. After earning just $7 million in 2024 for a team that was cash and salary strapped, Mayfield now is a free agent again in position to cash in. Tampa Bay would like to nip all that in the bud by doing a deal before the market opens. There has been no substantial talks to this point, though that's likely to change in the coming weeks leading up to the Combine right before the start of free agency. This makes sense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, okay? I mean, you got a guy that is a former first-round pick, number 1 overall pick, that is coming off the best season of his career, that, quite frankly, if you're Todd Bowles, you owe a lot to Baker Mayfield. He saved Todd Bowles' job this past year. Remember the year prior when Tom Brady got his offensive coordinator fired, right? Byron Leftwich? Well, this was the opposite effect. Baker played well enough that Todd Bowles looked good and that they overachieved, winning the division and getting to the divisional round this past season. Baker threw for over 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He was fantastic in 2023, and I think his best football is still ahead of him. We mentioned the accomplishments. Pro Bowler this past season, leading the Bucs to the divisional round, almost beat the Lions in that playoff game. Inconsistency. Baker was healthy. I think that's one problem we've seen from Baker Mayfield in his NFL career is that this is a guy that has not been healthy, but when he's been healthy, he's looked the part and he's looked really good. Now, what kind of contract is he going to get? According to folks at Spotrac, Baker's value has shot way up from what it was at this time a year ago, that he could be expecting about a 4-year, $108.5 million deal. So Baker, all of a sudden, in one season, has become a $100 million quarterback. Remember, the Bucs still have to pay Mike Evans as well. So now that Baker Mayfield had this bounce-back season, how good is Baker Mayfield? Just how good is he? Madden scale it for me. 1 through 99. You guys know how Madden works. There's no 100s in Madden. Give me a number. How good is Baker Mayfield? Scale it for me 1 through 99 in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Appreciate you joining us here on this edition of NFL Daily. For the latest happenings across the National Football League, subscribe now, and we'll see you next time. All right. 1 down, 2 to go. Mailbag coming up next. Hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the mailbag. And let's ask you, how good is Baker Mayfield? type of rating would you give him on Madden? Junior says 90. Meyer says 85. Tycoon says 88. Brian says 81. Lore, getting a little sexual, says 69. Nice. EV says 85. You know, I would give Baker, I think, a fair grade, and I'm a Baker fan, so Big Tex might say I'm biased here. But Big Tex, I think a fair grade for Baker, I would give him about an 87 on the Madden scale. Doesn't have the greatest arm, but he can be very accurate. He can make plays. I think Baker could be a franchise quarterback in this league. I'd give him about an 87. Alex says 84. Michael says 88. Some of the grades there coming in for Baker Mayfield on the Madden scale. Need some more questions for the mailbag. Alec, Michael, Lore, Brian, Junior, get your questions in. Hashtag NFL or Super Chat if you would like to be a part of our mailbag that we're going to do here in just a bit. We need some more questions before we start the mailbag segment in just a bit. And the reason why we ask you to use hashtag NFL or Super Chat, that is for our software to be able to pull this up. That way Big Tex can put your questions on screen. And when you send in a question, you'll have your avatar, your name, whatever message you got. Any questions or comments or concerns, whatever you got, send them our way for the mailbag segment that we will do in just a minute. Look at Adam. Adam's got the right idea. Adam did it correctly. Adam's going to get on the show. Who's going to join Adam on the show? Get your questions in, and we'll react here in just a matter of moments. Mark's getting on the show. I need about 3 more, and then we will start. 3 more, and then we'll start. Hashtag NFL or Super Chat. $ next to the chat box if you would like to Super Chat as well and contribute to the show and support the work we're doing here on this edition of NFL Daily. $ next to the chat box if you would like to participate. I got 116 people watching. I know we need some more questions. Cottage with a question. That question will fire me up. I will gladly answer that question, Cottage. Let's see. I need 2 more questions. Ev's got a question. All right, so I need 1 more. 1 more, and then we'll get started here with this mailbag. John's asking about the Pats. John, you got to use the hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get that question in. 1 more question I need. See, Brian, you put a space between NFL and the hashtag. I got to have them all together. All together, like Harvey did. There we go. Harvey's got the right idea. Junior's got it. Now we're ready to roll. You think of more questions as we're going through the mailbag, that's fine, too. Keep sending them in our way, and we'll get to them here in just a bit. Live edition of NFL Daily on a Thursday afternoon. T. Jones, Big Tex here with you as we're talking all things National Football League on the first official week of the 2024 off-season. Tex, you all set? All right. Without further ado, mailbag time here on NFL Daily. NFL Daily is presented by Manscaped. You can save 20% off plus get free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use the promo code CHAT at checkout. We'll tell you more about Manscaped coming up later on in today's show. Before we do, I want to make sure that not only are you subscribed to NFL Daily, but that you're a part of the Noti gang as well. Those are the folks that have their notifications turned on. They're the first to know when we have new videos on the channel. For the latest happenings around the NFL, the NBA, college football, and more, subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Anytime we go live, you'll be the first to know, and you can join us for our live shows right here on the channel. Subscribe now for free, turn on notifications. You'll be glad you did. Our first question in the mailbag today comes from Jake the Dog. Jake writes in, who would be a good fit to sign Justin Madubuike from the Baltimore Ravens? Great question, Jake the Dog. First off, Justin Madubuike coming off a fantastic campaign in 2023 with 13 sacks, really just came into his own and looked like one of the best defensive linemen in all of football. And now the Baltimore Ravens have a decision to make. Okay, what are they going to do about Justin Madubuike? Because the Ravens don't have a ton of money to spend at the moment. Now, granted, you'll have some cap cuts and You'll shift some money around, so you'll try to open up some space. But you can't afford to sign everybody if you're the Baltimore Ravens with 20-plus free agents that team has. And I think realistically for the Baltimore Ravens, what it's going to come down to is they're going to have to make a choice. They cannot afford to re-sign both Justin Madubuike and Patrick Queen. They're likely going to have to choose one or the other. And if I'm the Baltimore Ravens, I'm choosing Madubuike between the two. And I'm letting Patrick Queen either franchise tag and trade him or walk, whatever it may be, if I have to choose between the two here. I think that Madubuike is too important. Defensive linemen don't grow on trees. You already drafted Trenton Simpson last year with the expectation of him essentially replacing Patrick Queen at some point in time. I think that's the best bet, is that where Madubuike goes is right back to where he was before, to the Baltimore Ravens. That's what I would expect. I think that's his best fit there, and the Baltimore Ravens would love to have him back. Our pinned comment today: where will Justin Madubuike play next season? Will it be with the Baltimore Ravens, or will it be somewhere else? Weigh in the comments section. Let us know where you think he's going to go. Ron Swanson checking in. I think Ron Swanson's probably a top 10 TV character of all time, if I'm going to be frank with you. Could the Ravens trade Mark Andrews? Isaiah Likely was really good in his place. All right, this might not make some Ravens fans happy here, but I'm going to be real with y'all. I think that the clock is ticking on Mark Andrews' time with the Baltimore Ravens. I do think he's back next year, but I don't know beyond that because of the emergence of Isaiah Likely and the offense not missing a beat when Mark Andrews was out this past year. They got to feel pretty good about their younger tight end who's much cheaper. And we mentioned the Ravens not having enough cash for both Madubuike and Patrick Queen. They got to go find some cash over the next couple of years. And I don't know if they want to pay Mark Andrews again when you got a young rising star like Likely coming up through the ranks here. I don't think they trade him now, but I do think that end is near of Mark Andrews' time with the Baltimore Ravens just because they need that money, and they've essentially already found his replacement at this point in time. But I would be surprised if he's gone this offseason anyway. Put your GM hat on. Let us know. Should the Ravens trade Mark Andrews? Y for yes, N for no. Is it time to move on from Mark Andrews or not in Baltimore? Weigh in. Tell us what you think. Today's show is sponsored by Manscaped. 2024 is here in full swing, and that means it's time for a New Year's resolution check-in with our friends at Manscaped. Newsflash, it's never too late to level up your grooming game and keep your bush tamed. Manscaped's new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and turn the page on confidence this year. Whether you're going for a trim or that clean-shaven look, this trimmer has you covered. Trusted by over 10 million men worldwide, now is your time to get a grip on your grooming with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com, use code CHAT for 20% off plus free shipping. Ball is dropped, but don't drop the ball on your balls. Now, let's talk about some of the products we got here. We got the MVP of 2024, Manscaped's 5th generation lawn mower. It's not just a trimmer, it's your grooming sidekick. And it's also equipped with 2 skin-safe blade heads as well, just so you can keep your little boys safe down there. Also, folks, we have the Manscaped Performance Package 5.0, which has got all sorts of great stuff that we're offering here, folks. The grooming kit, you get the trusted lawnmower. You also get the Manscaped's ear and nose hair trimmer and essential aftercare products with the Crop Soother Ball Aftershave Lotion and Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant because nobody wants stinky balls. Get 20% off and free shipping with code CHAT at manscaped.com. Embrace a new you and definitely embrace a new trimmer courtesy of Manscaped. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Check out Manscaped today and start saving now. You'll be glad you did. All right, this question's got me a little fired up. Cottage81 writes, is Baker overrated? Overrated? What? Went to the Pro Bowl this year, played on a $4 million contract. What are we talking about? What is there to overrate with this guy? Baker Mayfield is one of the best underdog stories we've seen in the National Football League in recent memory. Okay? This is a guy that walked on not once but twice at Big Tex's favorite schools, Texas Tech and Oklahoma. He was told he was too short, that he wasn't good enough, still goes out and wins a Heisman Trophy, takes Oklahoma to the college football playoff, still finds his way to be the number 1 overall pick. Okay? Then he goes to the Cleveland Browns and achieves things we had never seen before with the Cleveland Browns, taking them to the playoffs for the first time in however many years it was. Got a little injured, a little banged up. They wrote him off. He didn't write back. He ends up going to Carolina, bad organization. Things didn't work out there. And then actually deals with a stable organization, a good head coach in Sean McVay, and his career turns around. Goes to Tampa Bay, has a Pro Bowl season this year. Baker Mayfield is a very good quarterback in this league. I think Baker Mayfield is a franchise quarterback in this league. So, is he overrated? No. I don't want Baker Mayfield on my team. In fact, a team like the Baltimore Ravens, for example, folks, last year, their backup plan, if they weren't going to get a deal done with Lamar Jackson, you know what it was? It was Baker Mayfield. They love Baker Mayfield. They respect Baker Mayfield. And I think around the league, people are starting to realize this guy's got it. Brian writes, will Hurts return to elite status with his new offensive coordinator? So it's interesting you bring up Jalen Hurts here because it's a similar story to Baker Mayfield, right? Jalen Hurts, not only both quarterbacks going to Oklahoma and all that, but Jalen Hurts this past season, I think the Philadelphia Eagles made the mistake of playing him hurt, okay? That they should have let him rest and fully recover and then go back out there. But he was never truly healthy, and he was playing injured all season long. I think Jalen Hurts this upcoming year, just by getting healthier, getting back to the way he's supposed to be, will go a long ways, and we'll see him play to his full potential. I would expect him to be an elite quarterback again, to look like that top 5 quarterback that we all know he is. Assuming he's healthy, Jalen will do that. Ev writes in, Panthers signed and trade Brian Burns to Baltimore for David Ojabo in their first-round pick and next year's third-round pick. So this is something we talked about this week on Ravens Rundown, Ev. I like the idea of Brian Burns in Baltimore. To me, that's an intriguing idea to bring him in. It would not be cheap, the draft capital and the trade to make it happen. I wouldn't have a problem if I'm Baltimore departing from David Ojabo when he hasn't really been on the football field much the last couple of years. I think that could make sense. And if you're the Carolina Panthers, you're still not going to be good anytime soon. You got to start thinking about, okay, when is the time to move on from Brian Burns and try to get something while we can to match up our timeline correctly? Last question comes in from XX Epic Jet XX. I wouldn't want to check his browser history. What team do you think is most likely to spend big in free agency? The Texans? Texans will be one of those teams. I think the Commanders will be one of those teams. I think the Bears will be one of those teams. Whoever's got cap space, essentially, is going to be throwing some cash out there this free agency period. So, with that, before we go, let's ask you one more question. Give us a bold prediction for the 2024 NFL season. Not too early to be looking at a 2024. Give me a bold prediction. The bolder, the better. The hotter, the spicier. We love it all here on the channel. Subscribe now. Appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you next time. Cool. 2 down, 1 to go. Next up, we'll talk Justin Fields' trade destinations. Where will he go? Give us a bold prediction for 2024, folks. Alex says Lions win the Super Bowl. Meyer says Lions win the Super Bowl. Junior says Patriots make the playoffs. That's a bold prediction. Evie says Jordan Love MVP candidate. Mark says Panthers win the NFC South. Epic Jet X says Colts finishing under 8 wins. Big Tex, what do you got for me? Give me a bold prediction for next year.
Let me think. How about the Eagles? The Eagles win the NFC.
Okay.
I don't know how bold that is because obviously, I think they're going to be better than they were this year, especially with the coaching staff changes. But I think they win the NFC over the Eagles or over the 49ers.
I can see that. I remember the Eagles were the best team in football for the first 3 months, and then things fell apart after that. So, yeah, that's certainly possible. Let's go ahead and talk Justin Fields now. Top 5 trade destinations for the Chicago Bears quarterback. Where is he likely to end up? I got 5 teams that caught my eye. I'll tell you why in just a moment. We'll break that down here on NFL Daily. Tex, we good? Cool. All right, here we go. Where will Justin Fields end up? That is the question on everybody's minds as the Chicago Bears quarterback appears like his days are numbered in the Windy City as we anticipate the Chicago Bears drafting Caleb Williams out of USC with the number 1 overall pick. So, where will he go next? On this edition of NFL Daily, I have the top 5 potential trade destinations for Justin Fields, and we will look at every situation and why he could fit for these 5 teams coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, your turn to be Ryan Poles. Should the Bears even trade Justin Fields? Are they making the right move by moving on from Justin Fields and drafting Caleb Williams here? Or should they be trading the pick and keeping Justin Fields instead? Weigh in, let us know in our pinned comment today. Why for yes, in for no, if the Bears should trade Justin Fields or not. Let's start with the Pittsburgh Steelers as the first potential destination for the Chicago Bears quarterback. The Pittsburgh Steelers are an interesting situation. 2 years into the Kenny Pickett era, and Kenny Pickett left a lot to be desired this past season as he had a sophomore slump. And I think most people realize that Kenny Pickett is never going to be a franchise quarterback in the National Football League, that just isn't who he is. And so if you're not sold on Kenny Pickett, if you're already throwing in the towel, this is your chance to go exit stage left and say goodbye before it gets worse and to find that escape route with Justin Fields potentially here. This Pittsburgh Steelers team, you look at the talent that they have with Watt, Fitzpatrick, Harris, George Pickens. You're going down the line. Steelers are a very talented football team. I would argue the Pittsburgh Steelers are a quarterback away from being a serious threat in the AFC. That's it. Justin Fields, you get out of Chicago in a better situation, a team that's ready to compete. It's going to be put up or shut up time. We're going to find out who Justin Fields really is. I could see Pittsburgh being the team to make that case and him being a good fit with Mike Tomlin. So, which quarterback would you rather have right now? If you're the Chicago Bears, would you rather roll with Justin Fields or would you rather roll with Caleb Williams? Type J for Justin Fields. Type C for Caleb Williams. Let us know which quarterback you'd rather have. Today's show is sponsored by LinkedIn Jobs. And I got to tell you, LinkedIn Jobs is a fantastic resource. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free, like Chat Sports did with me. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals. That's with a B, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So easy, a caveman could do it. LinkedIn also knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. Thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is intuitive, quick, and easy. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL Daily. That's linkedin.com/NFL Daily to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Check out linkedin.com/NFL Daily to post your jobs for free today. Next up, the Atlanta Falcons. And the Atlanta Falcons, kind of similar to the Pittsburgh Steelers here. Got a lot of talent, but they're waiting to find that quarterback. When you talk about Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson and some of these names there, they need somebody to get those guys the football. And not to mention, just besides the fact that this team is pretty close, in a bad division too, Atlanta would be a very popular place for Justin Fields among that fan base. He's a Georgia native. He started his career with the Georgia Bulldogs, left before he even saw the football field, ends up at Ohio State, and now this would be the long-awaited, much-anticipated return for the prodigal son of the state of Georgia, Justin Fields. I think this would be very popular. It would be dynamic to see him be a part. He and Raheem Morris together. I like the fit, potentially, of him with this Atlanta Falcons team. Desmond Ritter's not going to be your guy. You're not in a draft position to go get a Caleb Williams or a Drake May. I like it personally for Atlanta. Next up, we find the New England Patriots. And the New England Patriots begin the new era of Patriot football beyond Bill Belichick. And they'll do so with a new starting quarterback. Mac Jones was the Patriots quarterback for the last couple seasons. Got benched halfway through the year for Bailey Zappi. And I don't even necessarily blame Jones or Zappi that much because the offensive line was horrible there in New England for last season. The weapons were not anything to write home about. This is a team that just needs to hit the reset button. They need a fresh start at the quarterback spot. They're likely not going to be able to land a Caleb Williams here. And so you bring in Justin Fields. Potentially that could be the spark that the New England Patriots are looking for. A team that's trying to take the right step, that wants to find that quarterback and then get everything else right. This could be the first step forward for the New England Patriots and their new head coach, Gerard Mayo. Where will Justin Fields play next season? We've mentioned a couple teams, got a couple more to get to here in a moment, but want to hear from you guys first. Weigh in the comment section. Tell us where you think Justin Fields is going to end up in 2024. For the latest happenings in the NFL, NBA, college football, and more, subscribe now to NFL Daily by Chat Sports. And I got to tell you, you are not going to want to miss out on your opportunity to subscribe to the channel because the best part about it, it's absolutely free. We go live a couple times a week. We're bringing you daily content as well. Whether you love the NFL, the NBA, college football, we got it all covered here on the channel. Subscribe now. Lock us in for free. You'll be glad you did here. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. Now we're on to Seattle. The Seattle Seahawks. New head coach Mike McDonald is the man calling the shots for the Seahawks. And he's trying to put this team in his own image now. They got a new offensive scheme. They're going to be running an air raid under Ryan Grubb, who comes over from Alabama, and before that was at Michigan, or at Washington. And you look at what the Seattle Seahawks are doing here. This is a new coaching staff that hasn't necessarily committed to Geno Smith. Now, they did agree to pay him his salary for this year of $12.7 million. But we haven't heard this ringing, resounding endorsement from Mike McDonald or John Schneider here. And Schefter had a report this week that the Seahawks are open to discussions of a potential trade, of moving on from Geno Smith. You bring in Justin Fields, all of a sudden you have a much cheaper, younger quarterback with potential, and you're a team that's picking at 16. You're not likely to get a top quarterback where you're picking here. Justin Fields could be a good gamble for the Seahawks to potentially go with and might be the long-term answer the Seahawks are looking for at the quarterback position. Last on this list, the Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders. Man, they've been looking for a quarterback for about as long as I've been alive. Hate to break it to the Raider fans. Rich Gannon is not walking through those doors. Raiders, they need a spark. You think about the talent they have, right? Devontae Adams on one side. You got Max Crosby in the other. There's some real good players in that Raiders team. But Aiden O'Connell, he ain't it. Jimmy Garoppolo, he ain't it. They got to do something better at that quarterback position than what they got. And if Justin Fields can figure it out, if he is the right guy, and what we saw from Antonio Pierce, he did a good job as interim coach last year. You get the quarterback position right and take care of a few other things. It's not unrealistic that we could be talking about the Las Vegas Raiders as a playoff contender next year. If they get the quarterback right, Justin Fields could be just that. Which team should trade for Justin Fields? What do you think? Who's the team that needs to pick up the phone and call up Ryan Poles and say, we want him? Give me a team that comes to mind that would be a good fit that should make that call. Thanks for joining us here on NFL Daily. Have a great one. Like the video if you love the NFL, and we'll see you next time. All right. That's 3 down. We're done. What team should trade for Justin Fields? Mark makes a good point, says the Raiders hired Luke Getsy, who worked with Fields in Chicago.
He sucks.
So he already knows that scheme.
True. There's that side.
Johnny says Justin Fields would ruin Bijan Robinson. I think Arthur Smith already tried to ruin Bijan Robinson.
I will not take any Bijan Robinson slander in the chat, by the way. He's a stud.
Mark says the Giants are a better fit than anywhere. Cottage says the Cowboys. I think Dak's their guy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Checking in elsewhere in the chat. Jay Claus says the Raiders the worst move possible. Mark says the Giants are the best fit anywhere. All right, folks, we got to sign off. Thanks for spending part of your Thursday afternoon with us. Subscribe to NFL Daily for more NFL content. Lock us in. Oh, wait. Super chat. Right at the 11th hour, at the closing bell. We're not done just yet. We got a super chat we'll respond to. Man, we were literally just about to go. And then the super chat comes in. We got a $5 super chat. Bang! Epic Jet writes in. With the Jags, Bills, Titans, Bears, and maybe Browns getting new stadiums, who are your top 3 that need a stadium? Browsing history is clean promise. That's funny, Epic Jack. If you missed that earlier, go check that out in the mailbag. That's good. Epic Jack. New Orleans needs a new stadium. The Superdome, it ain't super. That place is a dump. I can tell you that right now. That is one that comes to mind right away. I'm trying to think elsewhere around the National Football League. It seems like everybody's getting new stadiums these days. Bills are getting a new stadium. Jags are doing a remodel. Let's see. I know New Orleans. That's the first one because I was just talking about that the other day. I'm excited about the Titans getting a new stadium. Nashville having a dome. I mean, I'm a Nashville guy. I love to travel, so just the fact I'm not even thinking about football for that. I'm just thinking about all the other events that could potentially happen. Exactly. I think Charlotte, like Bank of America Stadium, isn't great. Another one. This is an obvious one. I probably should have started with this. FedEx Field in Washington is a disaster. That place is horrible. And the Commanders, they belong in D.C. They should be playing in D.C., in the nation's capital. I don't know what they did with the old RFK Stadium. That might be the new national stadium now. But back in the day when RFK Stadium was literally behind the White House, or was it behind the Capitol? One of the two. That was badass. So, yes, the Commanders need to come home to the District of Columbia. Great question, though, Epic Chat. Now we will sign off. Subscribe now, folks. Appreciate you joining us. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time.